Joining us, MS Now congressional reporter Michael Schnell, editor-in-chief of Foreign Policy and host of FP Live, Ravi Agrawal, and retired four-star general and MS Now military analyst General Barry McCaffrey. Interesting to see so many Republican lawmakers today, Michael, saying that they're concerned and they need more answers out of the Pentagon.
Yeah, Katie, and notably, it's the bipartisan lawmakers, including those Republicans, from a pair of key committees, both the House Armed Services Committee and the Senate Armed Services Committee, the top Republican and Democrat on both of those panels, coming out with statements after that Washington Post story published, saying they are demanding oversight of what had happened in the Caribbean. I want to read to you some of their statements because I think that they really are powerful. First, for the House Armed Services Committee Chairman Mike Rogers and Ranking Member Adam Smith, they said the committee is committed to providing rigorous oversight of the Department of Defense's military operations in the Caribbean. Senator Roger Wicker, the chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee, and Senator Jack Reed, he's the ranking member of that panel, issuing a similar statement saying, quote, the committee is aware of the recent reports regarding the follow-on strikes on suspected narcotics vehicles. They say the committee has directed inquiries to the department and we will be conducting vigorous oversight to determine the facts related to the circumstance. So, Katie, leaving no question there that these four key lawmakers, again, they are in charge of the committee that oversees the armed services, are very concerned by these reports of those boat strikes, and they are efforting more information and investigations right now.
So what authority do they have to get more information? I mean, if they ask the Pentagon for more information, are they going to get it?
Donald Trump could have been impeached and convicted and therefore could be prosecuted, then how can they argue immunity at the same time?
We're saying a president could sell pardons, could sell military secrets, could order SEAL Team 6 to assassinate a political rival.
Federal appeals court judges appear to be skeptical of the claim that Donald Trump is protected against criminal prosecution. Trump appeared in court Tuesday as he tries to get his federal election case dismissed. Our congressional correspondent Scott McFarlane has details.
After arriving in a motorcade through the rain, Donald Trump sat in the front row as his attorney argued the 2020 election conspiracy criminal case against the former president must be dismissed.
To authorize the prosecution of a president for his official acts would open a Pandora's box from which this nation may never recover.
A trial judge rejected his claim of presidential immunity last year, saying a former president doesn't enjoy a get-out-of-jail-free card, which the prosecutor echoed today.
So let's get this straight. The Trump administration arrested a judge. Trump's FBI arrested a judge. Federal agents cuffed a sitting judge and hauled her off to jail. This isn't just a hypothetical situation or some far-off theoretical worry. This actually went down. This is a real event. FBI agents appeared at Judge Hannah Dugan's residence. They arrested her, took her into custody, and then charged her with federal crimes. A sitting judge was arrested by the federal government on orders from Trump's Justice Department. That is authoritarianism. The exact playbook of a dictator. It's the kind of action you'd expect in a nation without the rule of law. But before we dive deeper...
Breaking news tonight, a deeply divided moment playing out in American history as we come on the air. President Trump has just been impeached on both Article 1, abuse of power, and on Article 2, obstruction of Congress. The votes down party lines as predicted. And all day long here, we've been watching the short bursts of anger, the closing arguments from both sides. Democrats arguing the evidence was clear, arguing the president used the power of his office for personal and political gain with this election coming.
All right, Trump is facing impeachment articles and the possibility of jail time. And both of these are unfolding at the very same moment. And that's a monumental convergence that could change everything. Impeachment articles have been filed in the House, listing 7 different counts. There are articles covering obstruction, articles on seizing congressional power, and even an article specifically about tyranny. Tyranny. The House is officially accusing Trump of attempting to institute tyrannical rule. This isn't your standard
Trump's brain is falling apart at like kind of the worst time for both him and for Pete Hegseth, because they've been accused of potentially committing another war crime. And this right here is the best defense he was able to come up with against those accusations.
Can you talk a little bit about the strikes and the controversy around Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth?
I don't know anything about it. He said he did not say that, and I believe him 100%.
So you don't know if there was the second strike to kill the two men after they ran through in the first strike?
He said he never said.
Would you be okay with that if he did?
He said he didn't do it, so I don't have to make that decision.
Oh, he's a strongly, I don't know anything. I don't know anything about anything. Why do you ask me questions? I don't know what's going on, and I'm very scared and confused. I don't know anything. Also, I had a conversation with him about it. Now, why you would have the conversation about it with him if you don't know anything about this. But he had the conversation, and Pete Hegseth, obviously known for truth-telling, he says he didn't do it, so that's fine. I mean, why would I, as the president, why would I look into it beyond that? I just believe people accused of crimes when they tell me they didn't commit it. That's certainly how every other part of my administration runs. I'm not going to actually look into the reporting, verifiable drugs and guys with guns. Obviously, the vast majority of the strikes that we've engaged in are nothing like this. It's just a boat that we blew up with. But what if it was a...
The White House has confirmed today that the U.S. military on September 2nd did in fact carry out a second follow-on strike against a vessel that it suspected of trafficking drugs in the Caribbean. That second strike followed a first initial strike, which, according to reporting from the Washington Post, failed to kill all of the boat's occupants and left behind 2 survivors. The second follow-on strike was aimed at killing the surviving members of the boat. That strike, according to legal experts that spoke to the Associated Press, is a clear violation of the laws of armed conflict, which prohibit the targeting of shipwrecked survivors. The Pentagon's own manual on the laws of armed conflict also cites a similar situation in which it describes as being patently illegal. The manual says, quote, "For example, orders to fire upon the shipwrecked would be clearly illegal," unquote.
En una escalada dramática que ha provocado ondas en aguas internacionales, Venezuela ha aprobado, según informes, sistemas de misiles avanzados con el respaldo de Rusia, desafiando directamente la presencia de buques de guerra estadounidenses en el Caribe. Este desarrollo es más que una simple maniobra militar. Es una señal calculada para Washington y potencialmente un presagio de una nueva fase en las luchas de poder globales. Los analistas advierten que las implicaciones son más profundas de lo que sugieren los titulares. No se trata simplemente de una postura militar, sino de influencia económica, alianzas geopolíticas y el cambiante equilibrio de poder en un mundo que ya se tambalea en múltiples crisis. La situación se desarrolla en medio de tensiones de larga data sobre sanciones, política energética e influencia hemisférica. Venezuela, largamente golpeada por sanciones económicas e inestabilidad interna, ha recurrido cada vez más a asociaciones estratégicas con naciones como Rusia y China, buscando no solo protección militar, sino también alivio económico y apoyo tecnológico. Las pruebas de...
Se imaginen conmigo la magnitud de esta acción. Sheinbaum decidió derribar drones sin previo aviso, un acto de audacia que pocos gobiernos se atreverían a ejecutar y que inmediatamente provocó una reacción global, incluyendo la alarma total de Donald Trump, quien según los reportes quedó enfermo del susto. Este evento no es simplemente una noticia, es un recordatorio brutal de cómo el poder, la tecnología y la audacia política pueden intersectar en un instante y cambiar la narrativa mundial. Desde el primer momento, esta decisión demostró que México estaba dispuesto a defender sus intereses de manera directa y sin vacilaciones. Un mensaje que resonó mucho más allá de sus fronteras. La combinación de tecnología avanzada, planificación estratégica y toma de decisiones instantánea convierte esta acción en un caso de estudio imprescindible para entender la política internacional contemporánea. Los drones que fueron derribados no eran simples dispositivos, eran símbolos de vigilancia, instrumentos de poder y piezas clave en un tablero de estrategia internacional. Cada uno representaba un potencial desafío a la soberanía de México, y la decisión de Sheinbaum de actuar de inmediato evidencia no solo un dominio técnico, sino una firme convicción política. Cuando hablamos de derribar drones sin aviso previo, estamos hablando de redefinir lo que significa la soberanía en el siglo XXI.
El fiscal especial presentó su posición ante la Corte Suprema en respuesta al argumento de inmunidad presidencial planteado por Donald Trump en el caso relacionado con su intento de revertir los resultados de las elecciones de 2020. La presentación refuerza la postura de que el expresidente no está protegido frente a procesos penales por acciones realizadas durante su mandato. Smith reiteró que ningún exmandatario es inmune a cargos criminales por actos oficiales, subrayando que el principio de responsabilidad presidencial se mantiene incluso después de dejar el cargo. Este fallo.
Is he a war criminal?
Well, I think you can look at instances that have happened there and certainly characterize them as war crimes, but our intent is to end the war.
Is he a war criminal?
We can't end the war without talking to Mr. Putin.
That's pretty simple. Is he a war criminal?
Well, that's
this man we're negotiating with, Vladimir Putin. Is he a war criminal? That's not tough.
And the answer is that war crimes have been committed, no doubt. And who's responsible for that? There will be time and place for that accountability. But right now, the job is to end the war.
So you won't answer
if we don't
the
end
question.
The war, people are going to get
reclaiming
killed.
my time, sir. Let me go on.
A U.S. congressman asked Secretary Marco Rubio to say whether Vladimir Putin is a war criminal, and Rubio refused. What followed was chaos, frustration, and a political meltdown broadcast live.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will miss my seatmate, Jerry Conley. He loved sitting here, and we loved him. Secretary.
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has requested a formal pardon from the President of Israel, Isaac Herzog, over corruption charges. Mr. Netanyahu, who's been on trial since 2020, maintained his innocence but said judicial proceedings were damaging to the country and hampering his ability to govern. Opposition parties said the Prime Minister should not be pardoned unless he admitted guilt and left politics. Our correspondent James Cook reports from Jerusalem.
For 5 years, Benjamin Netanyahu has battled charges of bribery, fraud and breach of trust. He's battled too for his political survival. Now, while maintaining his innocence, he wants a pardon, insisting the cases against him are tearing the nation apart. Israel, he said, faced great challenges and great opportunities, and in order to fend off the threats and seize the opportunities, national unity was required. The Prime Minister's stewardship of Israel before the Hamas-led attacks on October the 7th, 2023, and his conduct of the war in Gaza since have both been highly controversial. So too has this latest move.
I think that if he would resign, I would be happy to grant him reconciliation. My son was killed on October 7th on the kibbutz, and I think that he should take responsibility for that.
I think basically it was a minor infraction, and it really won't help the country except for people who hate Netanyahu. So I would hope Herzog will agree and that we can get done with all this.
To ask for a pardon without admitting any guilt, without losing any position, without it affecting his life whatsoever, other than that he gets off scot-free, I certainly don't think that he should get it.
Mr. President, why don't you give him a pardon?
Benjamin Netanyahu does have at least one very powerful backer. The Israeli president's